Hi everybody, it's Sarah Cray with Let's Make Art and I teach watercolor, and today we are going to do a project that is a snuffed out candle. If you follow me on Instagram, I painted this in my journal and shared a little video on how to do it, and a lot of you guys reacted positively to it, and also I saw some comments saying that it's difficult for people to learn from reels, and so I'm like, okay, I can make a YouTube video, that's no problem at all. Also, like a year or two ago, I did a candle tutorial. So this is like the end of it. You know what I mean? Like how to do after you blow the candle out.
Nice.
All right.
Nice.
Okay. So I'm just going to paint this in my journal. But again, there's no outline here. So you guys can just draw it on whatever size sheet of paper you want. I'll list the supplies that I'm using in the details in the description. Excuse me. And let's do our oath and get into it. If you can raise your right hand and repeat after me. I promise to be kind to myself.
I promise to be kind to myself.
I promise not to compare my work.
I promise not to compare my work.
And I promise to have fun.
And I promise to have fun.
Thank you. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is sketch a candle, which could be like really scary for you, but I don't want you to think about that you're drawing a candle. You're just drawing basic shapes, okay? So for my candle, I only want it to go maybe a third or a quarter up on my paper, because the real subject matter of this painting is the smoke. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of place it right in the center, and I'm going to do two parallel lines. They don't have to be perfect. I just want them to be mostly center. And if you're like me and you don't like rulers, I'll just use my pencil to see if it's center. It's a little off. It doesn't have to be exactly center, but sometimes it helps. Okay. And then I'm going to do kind of like a U, but like a really funky U. So it's like just a little toot, okay, with the wick. That's it.
Nice.
Now remember too, as candles light, wax melts, and so you get like really weird wax melting. We'll paint that in, or you can leave it like this. There's also tapered candles, and those are easier because instead of like this rectangular shape, it would just be kind of like that, and you would erase that part. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. It just goes up almost to a point. I'm just going to leave that because I'm painting over it anyway. Okay, that's it for our drawing. Are you guys ready to go?
Let's do it.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that my tape is taped down all the way to the edge because I like a clean line. And then I'm going to take water and wet the entire paper except for my candle. And the reason why we're wetting the paper first is because I'm going to put black behind the background, and I want it to be super dark, and I want it to be like a smooth line. And so starting with water first is a great way to do that.
I know someone's going to ask, what kind of tape is that? Is that regular old duct tape?
This is Holbein Softtape, which is my favorite watercolor tape. It does not tear the paper, and it leaves a clean line just about every time. They do not pay me.
They should with
they should.
catchphrases like that.
Okay, so while it's nice and wet, I'm going to grab some black paint, and I am just going to paint the whole background. And I might have to do a couple layers of this because I want this to be nice and dark. The white of the smoke or the grayness of the smoke is going to stick out more. I mean, it's going to stick out the most, obviously, I guess, by how dark your background is. And also it's just going to add to like that overall feeling of darkness in the space that you're in.
If you are a subscriber to the monthly box, I guess not a subscriber. If you're a user of the monthly box, you just learned about something. What is that word, Sarah?
Chiaroscuro.
Chiaroscuro. Is that what's at play here?
Kind of. I would say chiaroscuro, there's obviously like it's almost like a spotlight effect.
Okay.
Which we are not doing a spotlight effect. However, you can add a spotlight effect to this where it would just be like a lighter value coming in here, which would then highlight the candle.
Gotcha.
But that then could interact with the smoke in a way that it is not as strong. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, the other tricky thing about watercolor is like it always dries lighter than when it's wet. So like right now I'm looking at this and I'm like, dope, this is dark. I did a great job. But as it dries, it's going to lighten a lot. And so sometimes what I like to do just for extra is really make sure it's saturated with that black paint. And you can actually always go back and add another layer of black if you want to. Okay. Especially like you really want it to be dark along the sides here, away from like in this back corner and this top corners. Okay. Then while it is wet, I'm going to take a liner brush and I'm going to lift some of the black paint for the smoke. So using a liner brush and just some clean water, I'm going to start to lift. Now we just did a lot of layers of black paint, so it's very likely that it's going to like seep right back into it. So we're going to do this a couple of times. And it's okay if it's not a perfect line. If you guys have seen what happens to smoke when you blow out a candle, it kind of goes everywhere, right? It's not just one single line. It usually starts as a single line and then it spreads. So when it comes out of the candle, I'm keeping it a single line. And then as it kind of moves, I'm letting the full like width of the brush kind of lift paint out.
This is going to be a weird call out, but it reminds me of the beginning of Aladdin.
Oh.
There's like a smoke, like a purpley smoke. I don't know. Maybe I'm misremembering it.
Yeah. No, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Obviously, the cartoon Aladdin. Obviously.
And also, as you lift more smoke out, it's okay if some of the smoke is like barely there gray or lighter. That is also true to how we see it. I'm not sure if I like how much it curves quickly, but oh well. Like honestly, next time you have a candle going, blow it out and just watch that smoke and you'll see that some of the elements are a little bit lighter. Some of them are like finer, so they're not as like white. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. I like smoke from candles. I mean, we're breathing air and it's a gas, but it reacts like a fluid when you can actually see things in it. So when you blow a candle out and watch the smoke, you become very aware that like we're kind of in a fluid.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. That's very true. Okay. And you can add, if you're feeling a little, like edgy, you can just do like little fine individual ones that kind of come out more, kind of more hair-like. It's up to you. Okay, that's it. Now we dry. Also, you can even like go crazy. You can do like loops. You can have more like kind of going off in the background. This is your painting. You can do whatever you want. We're going to paint the candle portion next, so I want to make sure that the black portion is dry. But you can see here a little bit that black is drying a little bit lighter value than when it was while it is wet. It's not a huge deal because it's in the center of my paper. All right. Now I'm going to paint the candle a warm neutral. And you might be like, what's a warm neutral? So basically, if you mix two complementary colors, which are colors that are across from each other on the color wheel, you're going to get a neutral, like a brown or a tan or a gray. I want it to be more warm to think of like a creamy, waxy candle. That's kind of the color I'm going for. So I have some... so you can use complementary colors, or you can use like brown with black mixed into it and then water. So I'm going to take burnt orange.
Can you scooch that down so we can see? Thank you, ma'am.
So I have some burnt orange up here that I'm bringing down here. I'm adding black to it. That's going to make brown. Let's add a little bit more black. And then some water. And if you want to like test the color before you can see if that's kind of a color you want, I might go a little bit warmer. Let's see what happens when I throw in a little bit of coral.
Coral. Where's your mother, Coral?
Where's your mother, Coral? Do I like that color? Let's do some gold. There we go. That feels better. Okay. So I'm going to take this color, start at the bottom. And I want it there to be a value change, which is the lightness and darkness of a color from light to dark. Light is going to be at the top. So that's where I'm going to use mostly water. And then as it works its way down, I want it to get darker in value to the point that it almost like disappears into the black. So I'm going to add a little bit more value. And for an extra hint of warmth, you can take a little bit of Q gold or Q burnt orange or yellow or orange and just do a little bit of a wash of that warmth right along the top, just to make it a bit more vibrant. Sometimes just doing those single washes of just color adds to the overall vibrancy of it. Okay. This is a part that gets a little bit tricky because we want the transition to be smooth. But don't overthink it. I'm going to let that be for now, see how that dries. And then I'm going to take bleed-proof white or white gouache or a white pen or basically any bright white. And I'm going to add white to my smoke to make it pop. Now, it's possible that you can be looking at yours and you can say, actually, I like this better without the bleed-proof white or that extra pop. Well, you do not need to add it. This is just something, I like strong contrast between colors. That's just my personal preference, or between values, I guess. So that's why I like the white. However, like, depending on how strong the candle is, it's possible that it's not going to be such a bright white smoke. It's going to be more like what we already have on our paper. So I'm going to leave that up to you. Okay, so I'm taking my liner brush and bleed-proof white and just kind of going off here. I'm just going to start to add that. And see how it just creates just a little bit of a pop? Yes?
Yes. Sorry, I'm entranced.
And then if you want to do little like little details kind of coming from it, you can. Let it be playful. That's it for that.
Perfect.
And then I'm going to dry this and make sure that I like my color transition before I add any kind of wax detail along my candle. Now, you don't have to add a wax detail if you don't like it. I like that the reason why I liked the wax detail is because it kind of has like a little bit of like a drip curve, which I think complements the curviness of the smoke. So it feels like it belongs in the same painting. where like a candle like this totally exists, but sometimes I think like the rigidity of the candle with the soft movement of the smoke makes it feel slightly disjointed. And so by bringing in some of that curve a little bit to the candle, I'm like, oh yeah, there's movement. This whole thing is dancing. You know what I'm saying? However, like that's just personal preference. Okay, before I do that though, see how the bottom of my candle lightened up a lot? I'm going to go back in and really, really crank up the dark value transition. That. And then also I can see here that the black kind of disappeared on the left-hand side. You see how it's kind of gray right here?
Yeah.
Let's fix that. There we go. Doesn't that feel better?
Yep.
And at this point, you can also change the shape of your candle. Let's say some of your candle got a little bit wonky. You got to straighten it out, or you want to make it wonky. You can just take black paint and go along the edge of your candle to reshape it. Okay?
Sarah, you know those big chunky candles that have 3 wicks in them?
Yeah.
That would be really cool to do this, like dancing smoke with 3 wicks.
Oh, yeah, that would be super cool. I'm going to paint the other, like acknowledge the back side of the candle by taking a little bleed-proof white mixed with the neutral. We want it to be mixed with the neutral so then it feels like it belongs to the candle. But we also need to acknowledge that bleed-proof white, whenever you use it, has like an opaque quality to it compared to watercolor. So if you really don't like that, then you can figure out how to add this without doing bleed-proof white. You would have to do that in the beginning step. Okay, so I did the back of the candle. And then to do wax, basically you want there to be a highlight, and think about how it's going to kind of like come and drip off. And if you think about drips, they're just kind of little lumps that kind of just go off of it. It's going to show up the most along the edge because it's going to be right next to that black.
Cool.
And
super cool.
Your brain is going to, thank you, dear. Sorry. And then also, like, let's say the wax you're adding is too white. You can add a little layer of color in it if you need to make it, like, not as bright white. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then let's do a little kind of dribble. I just don't like how they're all 3 the same length. Do you see that? 1, 2, 3. So let's purposely, since this is the biggest one, it's the one that makes the most sense to make longer. And remember, if you have seen like wax melting off of a candle, those things are funk, okay? Like you can get some really wonky shapes. So I don't want you to stress about that. It's not supposed to look any certain way. Like the more wonky, the better, I feel. And then if you're feeling really like, yes, there is going to be a little bit of a dark value kind of underneath where that wax is, just to make it pop a little bit more. It doesn't need to be a lot. We don't want it to distract.
What does the dark value do to make it what?
Pop.
Wait, one more time?
Pop.
I can't do it good. Wait, this way. How about now?
Pop.
That one was good.
How about I'm going to mouth pop and you do the sound.
Okay, ready?
Make it. Yes. There we go. We did it.
Power couple.
I'm just adding a little bit more of the warmth to the wax, just a little bit.
Beautiful.
Okay. And then one final detail after this is, well, hold on. There's one more thing I got to do. Actually, no, I kind of like that. I was going to get rid of that highlight along this right-hand side, but I actually kind of like it.
I do too.
I'm just going to add a little dark on the bottom, but I'm not going to cover the whole thing. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. Make sure this is dry. And the very last thing we got to do is put in our wick. Okay. Nice and dry. We're going to take just black and right here in the center. There it is.
Cool.
Should we remove the tape?
Heck yeah. It's the best part.
It is the best part. And what can be really fun too is if you look at images of, or just blow out a candle yourself, they don't always do like this serpentine shape. Sometimes they have like, they go off to the side and have like there's so many different shapes. Sometimes it curls into itself and goes. So if you find one that's just very visually appealing and stunning, like that would be really fun to recreate.
Would you say they have varied amounts of turbulence?
Yes.
Yeah, I would too.
That's exactly what I would say.
Look at that clean line.
That's from a previous painting. That wasn't from today. Same here.
Awesome.
And there is our blown out candle. Super fun. And actually pretty straightforward. You guys can absolutely do this. Even if you don't feel comfortable drawing, you got this. Don't let that stop you. It's just a basic rectangular shape. That's it. Have fun with this. And again, share your work. If you're on Facebook, you can join our Facebook group. That's called Let's Make Art Watercolor. It is a large group, but very kind. And that's where people are showing their work that they've painted with us, their takes on projects, all of that kind of stuff. We share our wins, we share our struggles, and we share our concerns and confusion. So it's just a great place to be if you're looking for a community to share your creative passion with. I think that's all I got to say.
Perfect.
Thanks for painting with me. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.